So I just started recording. So anyways, guys, this is Jerry, and I'm here with Jerry. And this is Jerry from Gracie Barra Orlando. We can call him Laotian Jerry, or, he's East Coast Jerry. But yeah, Jerry, welcome.
I'll take that. Ooh, someone just started like,
Yeah, exactly. So,
okay.
are you the head instructor or just one of the instructors?
No, I'm one of the instructors. I lead the GB1, the fundamentals, the adults, and also the kids program.
Mhm.
Also I'm the program director, and also one of the business partners here. So we have a vested interest, of course, in the school.
Wow. And
Yeah.
let's talk about, I've been to Orlando once. I don't know Florida too well, right? Because I've only been to Florida once. That one time I went to Orlando. What is the jiu-jitsu scene like in Orlando?
Man, I'm telling you, it's blowing up. It's I think it was like ever since after COVID, all the like the tournaments that were in California, they like migrated over here because all the rules were lax, right? And
Yeah.
it's just blowing up everywhere. So like there's tournaments, there's schools like popping up everywhere. And so it's hot, I'm not,
Wow.
not complaining.
And how many students do you teach on average per class?
Oh man, so I lead a few. I lead a real beginners class that typically has like 4 or 5 students, and after that, there's a mixed class in the noontime where there's like maybe 20 adults. So the adults class and the kids class typically about 15, 20 kids.
Wow. So you're a black belt. How long did it take you to get to this point?
Well, the black belt in jiu-jitsu, it took a little bit longer because I had like a 10-year gap.
Oh,
So I started jiu-jitsu like early on, training with my wife's cousin in the garage.
wow.
And like before there was like jiu-jitsu school. I was in my 20s, you know?
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I'm 44 now. So I started late as far as
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu went. Kids nowadays, they're starting real young. You see like the Rotolo brothers and, all of them and, Tynan Dalpra. And he actually visited and he came and gave us a private actually. So
Wow.
we're honored with that.
Wow.
I don't know if you're familiar with like, the jujitsu guys, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So okay, so you started with your cousin's husband or your wife's cousin. Sorry, wife's cousin.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then so you took like a 10-year break. Was it due to like injury or was it due to other things?
No, we moved to a different city, and again, it was so new. There wasn't anywhere to train. So I just kind of forgot about jujitsu for a good long while. Then we
Wow.
moved back to Orlando, and my cousin's wife at the time, he was already like a purple belt, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "What the f?" And I have to start back over at white belt, and I was like, "All right, screw it, I'm going to. It's gonna be a long climb." But we told each other, yeah, that's when we said, "Listen, we're gonna be jujitsu black belts together." We kind of made like a covenant. And so
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
And so
But
did it
he's close.
occur
He's
like
brown
that?
belt.
Like you two got your black belts together?
No, he's
Oh,
close. He's brown belt. He's
okay.
actually leaving. It's almost on like not purpose, but he doesn't train very consistently. And show that he's training because you have to do that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not just because you're a brown belt for so long that you get your next black belt. So you have to show consistency and show skill.
I see. I see. Wow. Okay, so tell me about that experience when you got your blue belt and how did it differ when you got your purple belt? Tell me about that.
Blue and purple. Oh man, I feel like it was a blur because blue belt I came in, I was just up to blue belt. I was just doing this as a hobby. Actually, up to brown belt, this was just a hobby, like a side hobby. Like you would go, like I compare it right now. I do roller skating, so it's like that's how much I thought about jujitsu. Like, oh yeah, we go roller skating when you get a chance, or oh man, I get to go jujitsu this week or something like that. So I got my blue belt after training for about a year and a half and that's when it was. And then when I got my purple is when I actually started working at a jiu-jitsu gym as the program director. So that's when I kind of like, it started to become more than just a hobby now, right? And like I have to learn about it. I was supporting the school and I have to really know about it now. People are coming to me asking what tournaments are happening, what tournaments I should do, what's this move, what's that move, and I'm like, oh, I got to get good at this thing. So
Yeah. So it
it's
sounds
all
like
about.
at purple belt is when you weren't just immersed in the jiu-jitsu, but also the business aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I first competed too. I didn't even compete till purple belt. You know, I didn't even know what to do. I actually, it was the first competition was going to be a major one too. It was a pans, and that's like in our sport, it's like the second biggest one. And so it was a very like whirlwind of a time, purple and brown. I mean, purple and blue, blue and
And
purple.
tell me about that first competition. How many competitors did you have, etc.?
I had one competitor because in my division, it's very hard. So I'm at the lowest weight division. It's called the rooster weight division. And then they pair you with the same age group. So I'm also in the master three division. So we're like these older guys. So by the time you get up there, there's not many of us left. And, from all over the country and the best in the world that says it, there was actually one that could make it. It was like during this COVID time. And I thought it was perfect because it was in Kissimmee. I would never dream of flying to California and competing. So this was kind of my chance. So I'm like, all right, let me go compete in there. And it was nuts. I mean, it was massive amounts of people, these ginormous people, like they look like they've been training forever. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? And so I go up against the guy, and I remember he was like super strong, and it was like just very nerve-wracking, but all this adrenaline. And it's like everyone's screaming, my coaches are screaming, the crowd is like screaming over here for other people, not just me, because the matches are going on. And I'm looking for it. I remember a move that I was drilling, and I do. It's called like a sit-up sweep, right? And I'm pulling the sleeve, and I do it all of a sudden, and that's all it took to win because I gained the points, and then by that time he couldn't do anything. So it's boring to kind of watch if you don't know what's going on, but if you're competing, it's like the most exciting thing ever.
Wow. Okay. So,
Yeah.
did you start getting the bug to compete after that?
Kind of, because for a good long time, I was just kind of saying, like, listen, in my division, there's really not going to be anybody that can handle me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it sounds like a really big brag, but if you knew how small the jiu-jitsu world was, you would soon realize, like, okay, yeah, there's probably not that many. So, and then you narrow it down to those that can actually come and qualify to compete against me and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of factors and filters involved. So by the time you get to there, there's only going to be a handful of people, and then you got to beat them. So but
I see.
anyways, yeah, that's when I kind of was like, oh, I can look into this, and then I started to want to compete a little bit more.
I see. And now tell me about brown belt. When you got there, how did that feel?
Brown belt, yeah, that was even all of a sudden because our school, we like to we like to do like surprise promotions because there's like this like culture. It's not like that for every school. I can't speak for Gracie Barra and for all of those. It just happens to be our school and the one I've been coming to. Is like when you like earn it or when they feel like your instructor thinks you should have it, that's when they tie it on you. So that kind of came as a surprise. They're kind of like after something, and then I got my brown belt, but like on a surprise, like during a promotion. I didn't even know. I was help organizing it. I think it was like for either for the kids or the adults. I don't remember. But then it was like, oh, they called me up for a brown belt. I'm like, oh my god, it's just like what the heck. So that blew me away. That was huge for me. I was like, and I don't know, I can't speak, but I hear a lot of people when they say they're not ready for the next belt. And I really felt like that. I'm like, man, I'm not a brown belt because I always look at these brown belts like, whoa, they're like killers. I'm never gonna get there.
Yeah,
But sometimes when you get there, you don't realize it.
I see. And did it motivate you, for example, to train harder, or how did you feel after you felt like, oh, I don't know if I deserve it yet?
Definitely, because then, and it's true because now you have because you have a brown belt, you have a higher belt, you have a target on your back. So people want to kind of use you as like a conquest, right? Like,
Oh,
oh, smashed him, I tapped him out, a brown belt, a purple belt, whatever, a higher belt. So now you have to level up your game. So you really do live up to the belt. Sometimes you're not there yet, but once you get the belt, you're like, okay, I'm going to have to act like I am or, get there. So you rise to the occasion for sure.
I see. So let's talk about, so on your Instagram, you're two-time Pan Am Jiu-Jitsu
Yeah.
gold and your world master gold. So tell me about those competitions and how it felt to get the gold.
Yeah. So, like I said, the first one getting the gold was kind of like my first kind of taste. I didn't really know it was a big deal. But in the jiu-jitsu world, that is a big deal. And again, at the time, I just thought, hey, it's nobody's gonna beat me in my division. I was so believing in that when I got it, I was like, it's not a big thing. But like people are like, no, no, that's a big deal. So that same year, they're like, hey, let's go for the World Masters. And I'm like, the world? not the second best anymore, the best. And so then I won that one, and that's when it kind of like, oh, he might be telling the truth here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when then Pans came around again, and I competed for at Pans very next year for the Pans. So the very next year for Pans, and that's when I got my black belt, winning that
Mm.
competition.
Oh,
And
so you
so
won it, and then you were given your black belt on top of that.
yeah,
Wow.
as a
That
surprise
happens quite a
again.
lot, right?
If you win like kind of big titles like that, it's kind of like that way. If you win in a dominant fashion, especially, then it's kind of like, okay, it's time to vacate that belt. You know, if you just run completely over in a world tournament, your competition as a blue belt, you probably need to go to purple, dude. You know what I mean? you
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
that's kind of how it was. You know, they were. I'm so grateful, so blessed that the black belts and professors that came to coach and cheer me on, they were like, no, let's not hold him back anymore. Even though I was a brown belt for like probably less than a year, like a year, you know. So it wasn't brown belt for very long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a very cool little detail. Do you ever get people who are like, what? What? Like they want you to explain yourself, or do you never get people questioning that?
Ooh, you know what? I have not,
Mm.
and I think I credit that to, again, I can point to the social media and I put my roles on display. That way they can see, like, I'm not doing anything like superhuman. It's just all the practice that I've done and all of that. It just, you become aware. Jiu-jitsu is so effective. You can see that it's effective against bigger guys. You can also see women using it effectively against me, and bigger guys. So this thing is for real, and that's why jiu-jitsu belts they're the most hard to fake. If you look that up, there's only like a couple of examples where like they try to fake it, right? But if you go in, you're gonna be very, very apparent if you the belt that you say, if you're especially black belt. Black belt, number one, you should be able to say who gave you your black belt, and their lineage, because you trained with this person for so long. And then also the skill set has to be there. So you can't be like getting tapped out by white belts, blue belts constantly. Not to say that you can get caught with anything. I'm just saying, like, there should be a good showing here. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what is next for you? You teach. Do you want to compete some more, or tell me more about what your plans are?
Man, I mean, my passion now is really spreading jujitsu because it's just so good. It's just so good for you. I mean, I got my wife into it. I got like her family into it. I mean, I'm still encouraging, and all their cousins, and because I consider them my family as well. So I'm even closer with them because they're all boys, her cousins, and I don't have any family here. So when I kind of almost like adopted them. So I try to like spread it, and I realize how good it is. So I think my next thing is to try to really encourage everyone to make it a part of their lives that can, so teaching kids, teaching like self-defense, the principles of it. I think that's like kind of my calling. Competing, of course, is kind of like that social proof to say, hey, you really are who you are. You really can do the things that you can say you can do, and it's kind of only one way to show that is like in competition, rather than like these kind of, and I see it all the time, like these no touch masters and whatever the case, you have to be able to perform under real circumstances. You know what I mean? So I think that's what my calling is, that I can show you, hey, this thing works, and people need it. And even if you're not the biggest guy in the room, and perhaps even the smallest guy, that you can still use it effectively, and it's really good.
So, I think that's a good segue to talk about your teaching style.
Mm.
So, how do you teach to, let's say, make someone new feel comfortable? How do you prevent the notorious white belt spazzing, hitting people, accidentally hurting someone? Tell me more about your teaching style.
Man, I really like I watch obviously all the masters. They have this like platform called BJJ Fanatics. They have all these things that now all these like jujitsu masters, we have access to the best, the most, the best knowledge in the world, and we subscribe to a lot of them. So I take a lot of my teaching styles from the ones I hear. Like my heroes are like John Donaher. He's very thorough, very technical. Andre Galvan, he's like a legend, BJJ legend. So he's very more of like realistic, really gung-ho at it. That style resonates with me. So it's almost like a mixture to kind of make white belts or brand new people feel at ease. I think I do, not to brag or anything, but I think I'm really good at kind of making it very simple. So seems like there's a lot of mechanics, but we only have 4 limbs, so I break it down like 4 limbs, 2 clamps, clamps with your legs, clamps with your arms, and then I start with the objectives. What is it that you're trying to do? You're trying to get to one of these dominant positions. So just start with those, start with the 3 most dominant. Just get to that, with your clamps. So there's a lot of like, first, like why and what we're doing, and why we're doing that in the first place, so that they understand. Not just put your hands here because of, you want to stay here or there, just like a more of like the end goal. It doesn't have to look pretty. I want to dominate you. So go ahead and, get into a dominant position. Don't worry about like specific hand placements right now. Just get to a dominant position,
Yeah, I think that's really good. You're basically building the big picture instead of focusing on all the details, because if someone is, let's say, black belt level of jiu-jitsu, of course, going to focus on all the minute details, but that's too overwhelming for a student that just started. So, you need the philosophy of, okay, I'm in this dominant position, I clamp, and I, that's all you need to really teach them. And then they can modify a little bit more as they get going with it and learn to use it. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned that, at the black belt level, honestly, in jiu-jitsu, when you get to purple, you consider an expert. So it's just, purple, brown, and black, you're just refining the techniques that you have. So these purple belts walking around are savage. Even, blue belts, competitor blue belts, man, there's something else, you know?
Exactly. So that's the thing about jiu-jitsu, right? That's the thing about jiu-jitsu that's different than any other belt. Like, most blue belts will be able to defeat like 99% of the people on the street is the wrong word, but on a one-on-one situation, if it does go to the street and there's no force multiplier, it's like, that's what makes jiu-jitsu such a thing that is such a game changer. For all the criticisms of certain ways of that, maybe, mentalities that jiu-jitsu is taught, there is no doubt that very few blue belts even are like people who you'd be like, yeah, I could take them. Any blue belt in jiu-jitsu, you're like, no, I can't take them if it's one-on-one. If it's one-on-one, I better have 2 friends sneaking up behind them,
No, for sure. Yeah, no, blue belt is, by then, because you've been training in our system, you have to be a white belt minimum of 1 year. Mm-hmm. Some schools, 2 years, So you can imagine, after aggressively pinning, wrestling, choking someone that doesn't want to be, someone that's trying to choke you for a good year and a half, 2 years, you're going to be good at that. Mm-hmm. I don't care really who you are. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to name out any names, but we've had some really uncoordinated people that have just made leaps and bounds. Like, wow, like this, you needed that thing. You needed jiu-jitsu to get that coordination. And I'm so proud of them. I mean, just like from not, it takes a minute for you. Move your left hand, and but so I love those people. So those are my challenge, and I'm like, when I see them do like, I don't know, a really nice guard pass, I'm like, oh yeah, it's all worth it.
The other question I had is about the Gracie Barra organization. So what does being part of Gracie Barra give you? Like, I never understood that. What are the perks of being a Gracie Barra school?
Well, I mean, there's so many, right? It's just any kind of well-organized organization is going to give you, which is that structure. So we have a curriculum that all the schools that we follow. So like, for example, we have a 16-week curriculum that deals with all the major positions. That way we make sure that we cover all those positions. Mm-hmm. And then by the time you go through that a couple of times, those 16 weeks, you're going to be really well-rounded. You've been exposed to all the positions of jiu-jitsu. And, so there's no like, there's going to be room for error, as opposed to like, if there's no structure, maybe you're going to be very deficient in half guard or very deficient in mount because the instructor just hated mount, and there's going to be positions that I'm not really a big fan of, like I wouldn't be in, but I have to have my students know and be exposed to those things. So we dedicate that week to do so. And then the next week we go over that, tying that in together. So that's one, the structure. And then also like with the team, the camaraderie. So our brotherhood extends. We're over 1,000 schools, I think now, all over the planet. And with our uniform, we can go train, drop in and go train with them if we're traveling or whatever. And we'll just be, accepted like brothers. Like if, we get so many visitors. We're Gracie Barra Orlando, right? So we get visitors from all over the world. And they love that. They
Yeah,
just bring
that
their
makes sense. I mean, anyone coming to Disneyland probably wants, if they're part of the Gracie Barra organization, they're like, hey, let's find a Gracie Barra near, and then they come to you guys.
exactly, and we love that, so we really appreciate that. We get to learn from them, like, and see what they're doing, and they appreciate us, and then of course we have a connection. Hey, have you ever in Chattanooga, Tennessee? You know where we're going, so we
Yeah.
have.
Do you ever, are there ever like inter Gracie Barra type competitions?
Yeah, the biggest one is called CompNet. So well, not we, but Gracie Baja, they host that. They're only available for Gracie Baja. So we have enough athletes, we have enough competitors that we put on a really competitive competition. So it's very elite, and yeah. So and one's coming up in Miami, and so yeah, that's the within the Gracie Baja. So just being a part of that, you get access to get to go to those competitions.
That's cool. And the reason I ask is because one of the other people that's on my channel a lot, he does these 10th planet inter-school type of things. So I was like,
Yeah,
I bet you Gracie Barra has it because Gracie Barra is way bigger right now. So yeah. So now I know continent. That's pretty cool.
yeah. And also there's a lot of support as far as like online. We have the Gracie Baja Institute. Our instructors have to all be ICP certified, which means instructor certification process. Certified. So that just levels the bar up for instructors. So we're all kind of on the same, at least the same standard starting from there.
I see. So tell me about other martial arts that you've potentially trained or have any interest in training. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, my martial arts started actually with capoeira. So I did capoeira for a good couple of years first, and I love that. I think that's where like the Brazilian, I was like, wow, love the music and the movement. It's really good, really good. And then my wife started doing taekwondo. So then I was like, okay, let me go try that out because they were like, bring your family and friends to try. And then they had me kicking pads, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so then the wife and I, we did that for a while. We got our black belts. And then that's when one of the professors at Gracie Barra North Orlando, he came and did a demonstration, and he did a workshop. And then he basically tapped out the whole school, showing how he could. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to go check them out. So then I went. And that's when I said, and then after that, I moved, and it was a 10-year hiatus, I was sad about that, but, I came back and had to pick it right back up.
Wow.
So I did a lot of martial arts.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you're a Taekwondo black belt and a BJJ black belt, wow. Do you have a cord, like a colored cord in capoeira too?
Capoeira, I was supposed to, they called it a Baptista, somewhere like you graduate. I forgot. I missed actually the one that I was supposed to be on. I think I was supposed to go up to the next chord. But yeah, I'm very, very like beginner on that one. I could, if I did the moves, I show you the moves right now, you would think I could do it, but if I did it with someone, I would be kind of like a little bit more off because they have the timing down. You have to time it right so you don't get kicked. You go with it. There's no blocking, so you time it and you go with it. And like my timing is not there because you have to practice that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Did you find that capoeira helped you in jiu-jitsu? Like, did you find you could flow or do different positions?
Ooh, I didn't really. I'm sure it did, but I'm not going to be able to quantify like what it was. Maybe a move here or there. But initially, just basically it boils down to every single move that you can do helps in jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu is everything, So it's like, yeah, you did kung fu, that'll help somewhere, something, you did capoeira, you did cartwheels, yeah, that'll help, because we have cartwheel passes where you pass the guard that way. You can be athletic, acrobatic. So again, you're seeing a lot of acrobatic jiu-jitsu, like flying arm bars, flying triangles, all that stuff that Vo Vietnam and Kung Fu and those kind of arts that they really do. If you did that, that'd probably be easier for you, So yeah, I would say it helps, but I just can't say, specifically. I think it all combined, it helps because jiu-jitsu is everything.
Yeah, exactly. Now, are you the first Laotian American black belt in jiu-jitsu?
Oh, I doubt it, but
Okay.
man, I don't know. That would be something.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be that many of us. So we could probably form like a elite fraternal club.
Yeah, exactly. And if needed, pulling the Cambodians and the Thais too, right? Maybe not Thailand. There's probably too many martial artists in Thailand, but pulling the
Yeah, there's too many.
Laotians, the Vietnamese, and
Yeah,
the
Laotian
Cambodians.
American. Let's boil it down. Make the division a lot smaller because, yeah, that'll be cool. So now I can feel more special.
Exactly. Growing up, did you grow up with a lot of martial arts movies and stuff like that?
Oh, for sure. You know what I mean? Everybody I talked to, I don't know who wasn't affected by Bloodsport, Enter the Dragon. I had my uncle. He would like teach me Muay Thai because or Muay Lao, right? They didn't want to do Muay Thai. They're from Laos, so it's Muay Lao. And he would be having me hop around in the backyard. I'd be, doing my stuff, and yeah. So martial arts was, it was just always gonna be a part of me. I just didn't know that I was gonna like do it for everything, make it my life, my living, my passion. I didn't know that part. I'm glad I am. This is amazing. What an amazing trip. What an amazing journey to have. But this was never the plan. No.
So that's actually a fun segue too. What was your plan? What did you want to be growing up?
Oh man, there were so many things I was gonna be first. Like obviously, if you're Asian, you're either gonna be a doctor or a lawyer. So it was one of those at first, and then it was like I narrowed it down to like a dentist. And then I was like, I don't know. At the time, I think it was my uncle at the time. I was a biology major, and my uncle at the time was like, he's like, you're gonna be a scientist. I was like, yeah, I'm first to be a scientist because I need a biology major. Then I'm gonna go to pre med and all that stuff. He's like, you don't even really talk. You're talking about like organs and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, most of the time you want to talk about like business and stuff. And it's like, okay. So then I switched to business, and then so then I started I got a franchise, a Subway franchise, and because it was a business, right? And that's why I went down there. I went to another city because there was no, and it was a small town, and there was no jujitsu or anything like that. So that, of course, that had to take the back burner. So for a good long time, I didn't do anything, didn't do any martial arts, do any of that. So I got pretty heavy. And in high school, I did a lot of things. I did weightlifting. I did pretend to do martial arts, and I do all that stuff. And so I stayed relatively fit. And after a good long while, I looked at myself, and people stopped kind of saying that you were fit. I was fit. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait, I'm not fit anymore. And so I just started back in the journey, and I said, you know what? When I went back to Orlando, I'm going to start up jiu-jitsu again. And, and I was like, man, my cousin was already purple belt. So I was like, man, I got to catch up to him. So I just went hardcore.
I'm sure running that Subway franchise probably helped your business sense, man. So in a way, as much as it probably did suck to not train the martial arts, it probably helped you on the business side of things now with what you do.
I think so. It just kind of prepared the suck. You know what I mean? Like, oh God, so yeah, my business partner now, he hasn't had that kind of been on the side of the business owning side. He's managed a lot, but yeah, he's kind of feeling the suck part of it. Like, yeah, it's on you. Everything that goes wrong, it's on you, dude. It's no more of, you can't pass it off. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll tell you the truth about my journey on YouTube too. Like, for quite a long time, I was mad at YouTube. I'm like, oh, why is the YouTube algorithm this way? And then one day I just said, you know what? It's on me. I'll have to adapt. So I
yes.
just did. It's a hard lesson that when you start treating it more like a business, you have to realize. And like, you connected with me at the right time because my channel's recovering again. So it's like I got it back, man.
It was gone?
It wasn't gone. It was just it wasn't reaching as many people as it was in 2021. So last year it was kind of not dying, but it was definitely lulling. That is the right word. And so this month I just said, you know what? Let's take personal responsibility and let's just adapt and give it a go. And it's been working out, right? So that's like exactly like
awesome.
you said. You have to embrace the suck part too, unfortunately.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's like, man, if you're sucking, you're probably like, you're doing it. You're, if it didn't suck, that'd be really weird. Yeah. It'd be like, really?
Yeah.
Everything's going right? Are you Mark Zuckerberg? I don't know if everything
exactly.
Right.
If it didn't suck, just treat that as a vacation. Don't think it's always going to be like that. That's the lesson I've been learning.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I never really thought of it like that. I always looked at your like the channels and videos like it was just it looked like something that you just wanted to do all the time and put out, But now that I don't even know how to make money on YouTube. I just know you guys are like famous and like I'm sure you guys make like money and all that stuff. I don't even know how it works. So when I saw it, I was like, whoa, nice. And I would always watch it. I was all the videos, all the YouTubes, all your videos would just show up in my scroll. So I would watch it, like the no touch masters and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. And so what kind of happened with the channel was that I was trying to find where the niche was, right? And I think part of the thing is there were basically like 3 audiences on the channel. And this might it'd be an interesting segue too, because it probably kind of relates to also like as a teacher, you might have 3 different types of students too. But I'll tell you the 3 audiences that I noticed on my channel. One is like the casuals, right? They just wanted to see, let's say, the no touch masters get beat up. And then let's say there were the ones who were really, really into the martial arts. So they wanted to see more in-depth stuff. And then so they were different than like the casuals, right? And then there were the type that, let's say, they were really only into something very particular. So they're not into martial arts, they're only into something really particular. So it's like 3 different audiences. And for a while I was like, do I have to break it down into like different channels? Because, you don't want the audiences and the YouTube algorithm to always be confused. But I think what I'm stumbling on now is if I just put out enough stuff, some of it's just going to hit with the right audience. It doesn't matter. I just keep putting out good stuff, put out more stuff than I did before. And I think that's what I'm hitting at this year. So, long story short, it might seem like we know what we're doing. That's probably only 10% of the time. 90% of the time, we don't know what we're doing either. And I'm admitting that. Yeah, I'm admitting that. For anyone that watches it, this is why we have these honest conversations, because I'm just admitting, I for last year, I definitely didn't know what I was doing. And then this year, I feel like I'm starting to figure out, but I still don't know. And that will motivate me to keep learning, right? It's kind of like the mentality of Jiu Jitsu that you guys have. You might be able to tap someone. Doesn't mean you know everything. It's the same exact thing.
Okay. No, that makes sense. When I see like, oh my God, you're like 100,000 subscribers. I'm like, I don't even know how do you get 100,000 people like to subscribe? And what does that even mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that means like you're crazy famous, right? Like, or does it mean like, you have to, you can put out whatever and then, 100,000 people see it. I don't know, or there'll be even more views. It'll be like, and the million of views, right? You got like millions of views, right?
Yeah. And you asked a very important question, which is something that I think would help a lot of our experiences. If you compare, let's say, Twitter or even Facebook or Instagram with YouTube, the one thing that YouTube doesn't have is you can't delete subscribers, right? So you asked a good question. What does 100,000 subscribers mean? And I think that question's been scrutinized more and more by everyone on YouTube. Because think about this. I don't always reach 100,000 of my subscribers, right? So are they even truly real subscribers? Think about how you found my channel, right? You weren't subscribed to my channel when you found my channel, right? So there's like this double thing where you feel like sometimes you're never reaching the subscribers that chose to subscribe to you, but then you're always reaching other people. So like, what does a subscriber mean? That's a deep question. And this is a question that if you talk to more YouTubers, you'll probably get different views on it, because some people would say YouTube would be a lot better if, let's say, I knew, let's say my audience, right, 170,000. If I knew there were 20,000 of them who never watched my videos, what if I could just click a button and say, stop them from subscribing? Because it doesn't matter. They're not watching my stuff. Let them have room to subscribe to other people, right? Yeah. Some people would say that's the right way to go. And then some people would say, numbers still mean something, right? Numbers help you land deals, etc. So like there's a lot to break down. If you really have to go into what the numbers mean and the business side of it, that's basically how Mr. Beast got famous. He always thought about it like a business, right? Do you know Mr. Beast?
Yeah, I mean, I've just recently, honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know until they started like proclaiming him the largest YouTuber in the universe, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's
and
because he always thought about it like a business. He's a little younger than us, right? So he started it when YouTube was already very deep in everyone's mind. So for him, it wasn't like, oh, I'm doing it for fun. That's how I started, exactly like you predicted. I started my channel for fun. And then it became something more. He was like probably like 2 when YouTube started. So for him, YouTube was always a business. It wasn't just like something fun that became a business. So that's why giving him credit, man. Like that's why he got so successful. He always thought about it the right way. It's like it's gonna suck, you know. I think behind the scenes, he really has fun making his videos, but the money speaks for itself.
the money speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I just know he like gives away all this cash, and but the more he gives, the more he makes.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And you would think that would be the case. Like, okay, but it'd be so hard. Let's say we just like gave out $100,000. Would we get that back? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have like a system, an ecosystem built to get that back.
Yeah. Like you have a Mr. Beast channel. He if he makes a video giving out 100,000, he's gonna make 2 million from that easily.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that 100,000 is probably some kind of tax write-off. So either way,
or it was given to him by like a sponsor, you know, of like a can opener or something that can easily pay for it.
Exactly. So that's actually a good question for you guys too. You're part of Gracie Barra. Are you allowed to have other sponsors and stuff like that? So like, are you allowed to bring in other people, or is it like it's only Gracie Barra?
Well, I mean, even though we're a franchise, it's a little bit more free. So we can have people that work with us, but everything has to be approved by the franchise, of course. Anything that's not approved is not approved. But generally, we're allowed to people can sponsor our athletes and whatnot. But no, and then we also even have an ambassador program. So we'll actually even sponsor our own athletes that have the most potential.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, that's why. I mean, there's some hate out there. There's no avoiding it. Anytime, you become the best at what you do and, really well known, you're going to get haters. So there's going to be people that don't like the Gracie Barra brand. But you know what? It speaks for itself. It's the largest. It's, very diverse. Jiu-Jitsu for everyone's our motto. We really stand by it, especially at Gracie Barra Orlando. It's just like, if, that's what we get on a daily, the feedback. And we're so grateful for the people that say that make that our school, the community that it is, you know? So we really embrace that Jiu-Jitsu for everyone motto.
Exactly. Do you know if there's a Gracie Barra in Laos?
Ooh, I don't.
Okay.
I don't like to fly. But man, that's on the radar. I was talking to our head professor as well, Professor Roger. He's leading the charge at our school. And I was like, how good would it be to like have satellite schools in Laos and Thailand and really like bring that there? Because they're like hardcore Muay Thai, right? So I bet they want some grappling, Yeah. And hey, who better than us? He's like, no, I'm down. But so I might send him over there because I don't like to fly.
What is the average student like in your Gracie Barra? Like, because, it's been so long since I've been to Orlando. Like, what is a student of Gracie Barra Orlando like?
Oh, gosh. I mean, if you could just go into anywhere, randomly, a mall, and point to anybody, that's a jiu-jitsu student, Gracie Barra student. We have literally everyone. At the time, our oldest member was like 79. He got his black belt at 70. So and we have our youngest is like he just turned 4. So we teach everybody and everything in between. It's a male dominant sport, of course, but that's starting to change. We have a lot of women. We have young women, teenagers, middle age, older. We have it all. My wife is 43. I think. Don't kill me. But I think she's 43 or 44. She's my age, 1 year younger. But she does jiu-jitsu. So, you know what I mean? I just want to say, I want to say, this is so good. It's so good for you. It just builds you and it makes you in the best shape of your life. And it's just a lot of fun. So that's why I advocate it.
What is your day-to-day like? Do you get up very early? Do you go to bed early? Tell me about your schedule.
Oh gosh, I guess that's very subjective as far as early, but yeah, I'm typically up around 6:30, And that's when I kind of like, I'm very religious with this green drink, right? So I hate it's the like kind of Joe Rogan philosophy, right? Do all the stuff that you hate in the morning. So most people, including myself, I don't like to eat vegetables, like raw vegetables. Untypically, some with different meals and different dishes, it's good. But like typically, I'm not gonna eat like raw broccoli, raw spinach, raw kind of stuff. So I'll blend that, or I'll have my wife blend all of that so I can drink it first thing in the morning. That's the first thing I do. And then I take a cold shower because Joe Rogan says so, and we're starting like this ice, like plunge too kind of therapy. But, doing all this stuff that I don't like to do. And then it's preparing for my day, checking the emails. When I get to the gym, I'm already checking emails. My first class is at 11, so I'm preparing for that around like 10:30, making sure. And then I lead another class at 12. And after that, it's a lot of admin stuff, meeting with Professor Roger and, our business stuff. And then we're already getting ready for the kids class, which starts at 5. And then there's another kids class at 6. And then adult class at 7:30. That's the one that you saw that I took you through. Excuse me. Yeah. So it's a pretty packed day most of the day, So I try to train like at noontime with the people there. If I'm leading class, afterwards we'll stay and roll. We call that live training. So then they're just sparring for a good 30, 45 minutes, and we'll set the timer. So I'll try to get in sparring there. So I have to get my own training at the same time. And then afterwards, I'll typically go home, have dinner. If I don't have dinner yet, then it's going to be a private class with the wife because she's like really obsessed with jiu-jitsu now. So we'll do some drilling with her. And, we got the mats down there in the house and then or some kind of workout. And then after that is dinner and it's starting on the day all over again. I'm asleep probably before midnight.
I see. Yeah. This is good that you talk about the schedule because not many people know what goes into just running a school, right? They think it's just like, oh yeah, professor shows up and then teaches and then goes. It's like, no, it's not like that.
I wish. No, heck no, because, and we get it, things change, situations change, people's lives change. Jiu-jitsu can kind of go in and out. People, not everyone's going to be a black belt and we don't expect you to. We hope everyone does, but we don't expect everyone to. And, things will change. But if you could just, realize how much we put in and what you need and it's going to pay off and make it, part of your life, it's really good. So, that's what I want to have.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you yourself or do some of your students have MMA goals at all? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get a lot of people that want to start MMA. Jiu-jitsu is a really good kind of like start to test like the water zones because MMA you're getting right into, getting punched in the face, right? And if you kind of start with jiu-jitsu where there's no punching yet, but we're dealing with everything else, then that's a really good start. Some people will just stay there and we're like, oh yeah, what was I thinking? MMA, And then some people are like, yeah, now it's time to go to MMA. So we even have students that come train at our school and then they go train at an MMA gym as well, and we have MMA fighters like Rodolfo Vieira. We have Alan Nugaj. We have, and other like UFC fighters that will come and train at our facility, and with our instructors and whatnot. So, and I got permission from Professor Rodolfo. I said, yeah, is it cool, if we mention that he trains here? He's like, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you're going to be training for MMA, usually you have to specialize in the different arts that you want to incorporate, right? So like an MMA fighter probably, like you said, will train at a specialized jiu-jitsu gym. On top of an MMA gym, he might even also train at a boxing gym or a Muay Thai gym on top of that. So
yeah. And actually like you can go that route, but the most elite, they're going to have to go to a specific MMA gym. So that MMA gym is going to incorporate all of that into like the octagon, rather because if you just stick with one particular sport, they're going to take that stance and then you're there. So then you have to switch back and forth, which is not going to be ideal. You want to have it's evolved so much that it's just MMA is its own sport. You're going to play jiu-jitsu in a different way. You're going to strike a different way. Maybe Muay Thai, you don't have to deal with anyone taking you down. So you're going to take a different stance, but MMA, they have everything's available.
Yeah, exactly. Have you guys ever had like a dojo stormer or like anyone weird come in that you guys had to like deal
Oh,
with?
I mean, yes. I don't think so much a dojo stormer, not the ones you see that are so dramatic. At least not in my time. I've heard stories, of course, but the ones that I've seen are typically they kind of realize it pretty soon, or they already know. So they've already seen the videos or they've done their research. So they just kind of want to make sure, because they're kind of a little bit skeptical or whatnot. So they'll take a first class that'll go too hard, but then they'll get kind of hurt, and then they'll realize like, oh, So typically they don't stay very long. They're not a good fit for us. We're looking for people that want to learn how to fight, not fight to learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love what you said. Learn how to fight, not fight to learn.
Yeah, I got that from one of the Gracie combatants, Henry Gracie,
Hmm.
and yeah. So I heard that a long time ago. I don't want to take credit for that, but yeah.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
take a lot of that.
Do you offer prospective students like one trial class, three trial classes? What is kind of the standard?
You know what? There's a lot of schools out there that they'll have like that week trial. I don't
Uh-huh.
think you need that long, so we don't really push that. If you need it, we're more than happy to, but typically you're going to know after your first class if this is going to be a good fit for you. And we take it a step further with our school. We actually have a 30-day money back guarantee where like,
Ah.
hey, this is not what I was thinking. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to see your face anymore, Jerry. No problem. We'll give you back your money, give us back our uniform. It's all good. You know what I mean? We want you to get what you're looking for. So we're always looking to over deliver. And, typically we don't have that problem. So usually by the first class, you'll know. And that's exactly what I'll explain. Like, listen, if you want to go check out the gym before doing other gyms, great, go for it. I think that's a really good thing to do. It's a really smart thing to do. That way, you know what's happening. At the time, I would just pick the closest gym closest or the gym closest to me, which is sometimes is not the best case. You could have made a better choice, and drove a little bit more. But so I'm a big advocate of that, like getting in the right place because you're gonna train with these people for a long time,
Yep.
with these instructors for a long time.
I think the last question I have on my mind is people who start jujitsu, what is a common mistake they do, or what is something that hampers their progress that you would love to address to them now so they don't repeat the same mistake?
Ooh, okay, you know what? There's a plethora of mistakes that and pitfalls that you can make, but typically I guess the first one is like really being hard on yourself because I think like most people walk around with like idea of like, if worse comes to worse and I need to really do what I gotta do, I'm gonna be able to handle business. And jujitsu that you realize really quick that's not the case. And then especially, I have a rolling session with on my Instagram with a 17-year-old girl. She's in high school. And you can imagine, we had a high school wrestling team. I won't say which one come and they had like these guys and he was like a district champ and everything like that. And she just can handle him. I mean, it wasn't easy or anything, but she's handling it. And so it's a very ego checking sport. And so I would tell new people like, leave the ego behind. Just, go. Don't be spazzy. Don't try to win. If you have to tap, if you're in a bad position, just let it go. Give up for now. Don't try to fight everything you got. Even though you got out of the move, at what cost? Maybe you got hurt, and then they'll get hurt, and they'll go like, nah. I mean, what do I need this for? I'm an accountant, or I sell timeshare for a living. I don't have this to myself. But that's not the point. That was never the point. The point was to do something and get savage and like take care, like get in good shape, learn a discipline, get skills, learn skills, become dangerous. I hear this meme like, when you hold back your danger, that's doing something worthwhile. You're not just being helpless because you're helpless. That's so check your ego. I would say that's the best thing you can do as a new jujitsu practitioner. Come in with a very small ego. Be ready to humble yourself.
Yeah, I love it. I love how you described it too, because it's about being humble, but it's also about not being too harsh on yourself too, right? I love it because sometimes, like you said, part of it is probably because some of the other arts that are in existence in this world, you might get your black belt in 2 years, right? So, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to fathom. Wow, the difference between a 1 stripe versus a 2 stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu is grand. It's
Yeah.
grand. So don't, if you're getting submitted all the time, it's okay. It's okay. Now,
Yeah.
if you're a purple belt and getting submitted all the time by white belts, that's not okay. But if
Yeah.
you're a blue belt and the black belt keeps submitting you, that's okay, because there is that big a gap of knowledge. If you're a
Yes.
white belt and the 4 stripe white belt submitting you, that's okay. So don't be harsh on
Yes.
yourself. As long as you're learning and you keep your ego in check.
Yes. That's a yes. Keep your ego in check. You'll stay safer longer. You'll be able to train longer. You'll be able to absorb more and, not worry about your ego so much, like that's another thing people don't want to look bad. They think like everyone's on me, especially new people, they're trying to move and they think like everybody's watching me. I can't do it. It's like, listen, we were all there. We really don't care. It's like, yes, you're supposed to suck. If you were good, that'd be really strange. That means you're either lying, you've done it before, or you're just an anomaly. That never happens. So either way, you're supposed to suck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Have you ever had a case of like a student that had a lot of potential and the student just wanted to quit, and then you just talked them out of it, and then they were so happy when they got to a better kind of place in their jiu-jitsu journey?
Yes, actually, yes. And that happens all the time. I don't want to say it says frequently because people want to quit, but I always want to try to get to the root of the quit, So, the most common excuse is always, I'm moving, And so it's always kind of like, it can't be all these people moving. So it's like, listen, what is it really? Why are you stopping? Oh, I'm not any good, or I don't have time. Yeah, we know nobody has time, but you came here because you said you're going to do all these great things for yourself. So by quitting, is that going to get you there quicker, or is it going to set you back? And usually that's when kind of realize okay, it's like, so I don't want to say you're a quitter or whatever, but let's not make this a habit. You invested this money, you invested your time, you came over here, researched the schools, did all these things, said you were gonna do these things, and then now you want to quit. Like, what changed? Usually it's nothing except for got lazy, maybe you got scared, maybe you got a little hurt, and that's all normal. If you didn't get a little bit hurt in a combat sport, you're not doing a combat sport, you're just pretending to do a combat sport. So that's part of it, and that's why it's so admired and coveted, because it's hard, So if you're going through a hard time, that's normal. You're supposed to be. You're right where you're supposed to be, And then afterwards, they'll be like, yeah, I wanted to quit so many times, but now they're a blue belt, purple belt. And like, so I'm there. Once you get to purple, you're eyeing down that black. Because again, you're an expert. You're considered an expert, You'll, even if a purple belt tap the black belt, it's not anything to bat an eye on. You're like, yeah, that's a strong purple belt. Especially if he's like a competitor, 20 years old, been training since he was 6 years old. Yeah, you're getting tapped. You know what I mean? Sometimes. So it's not going to be anything, extraordinary, at purple.
So I think a good lesson I'm learning talking to you is, if you think that journey's hard, break it down a little bit. Be like, instead of being like, okay, I need to get the black belt, be like, let's aim for purple. Let's just get the purple. Let's get the purple. I like that idea.
Purple is like, just aim, just don't even then. If you want to aim for something, it's fine. Aim for the next belt. But those belts will change color by themselves. You just get good at what you say you're gonna do. Just do what you said you're gonna do. They're gonna have no choice but to recognize you as the belt that you are. If you just, it doesn't matter. If you, let's say you were in a blue belt and then you go to class and you just, you just can handle every blue belt, every purple belt, we're going to have to tie a purple belt on you or whatever it is, so it's going to change by itself. You don't have to worry about that, but get the skill level every single day. You're going to get better when you come to class.
Exactly. I think this was a good conversation. This was a good stopping point. And like I said, when we took a little break, when you were charging your phone, let's get you on whenever you want to just kind of have a little segment. Feel free. And what I'll do is, Ruckus from Martial Arts Journey, he has a cool series where he's kind of testing the combative self-defense aspect and seeing how much of each martial art can be put into it, right? So next episode, I should just Send it to you in whatever segment you want to commentate. Send me some thoughts. I'd love to. So
Okay.
I got another jiu-jitsu guy. I thought about it. I was like, why not have two jiu-jitsu people give me their takes on different parts of the video? I think that'd be kind of cool. So next week it'll be me, you, and another jiu-jitsu guy. Then we can all kind of talk about the different aspects we want to highlight from Ruckus's next episode. So.
Oh my gosh, I'd be honored. I mean, that's exciting. That's crazy. Yeah.
So let's do that.
I'm down. You tell me what I gotta do. Like I said, I'm brand new to all of this, so like I don't know what I gotta do. I gotta like comment on the video. You tell me what to do. I'll do it.
So likely what we can do is very easily Sunday the video comes out. I'll send it to you. You find a segment and you can just sort of like how you are talking to me. You can just send me a video, send it to me, and then I'll figure out a way to put it into the video. And so that way. So like I'll maybe like as I'm commentating, I'll be like, oh, here's a segment. Jerry, Jiu-Jitsu Jerry explains it really well, and then bam, I'll have you kind of explain it. So I'm gonna play around with that and see if that works for the next episode.
Oh man, heck yeah. I'll be looking for that. I'll do that. Yeah, for sure.
And
for
know that would be a good way to get your students involved. If any of them want to be the uke or something like that,
Okay. You mean like watch the video? Maybe I can like even
show something, I would have done this differently, or I found this position interesting because, I don't know what his next episode is going to be, but I get a feeling there's going to be some jiu-jitsu involved. Like this episode I just put out today when I was analyzing, there was some jiu-jitsu, right? But like there was a case where the guy had a knife, the guy doing the jiu-jitsu on the guy with the knife let go of the arm for a second and boom, 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 right? So so that's a segment I could have analyzed, but next time if there was like a submission, then we would get a jiu-jitsu guy to be like, okay, what kind of submission was this? Did they do the position and the technique correct, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, heck yeah. We definitely, yes to all of that. That sounds fun.
Cool. So Jerry will definitely be back, guys.
All right.
Jiu-Jitsu Jerry or East Coast Jerry or Laotian Jerry?
Laotian Jerry. I was trying to like, my whole thing was going to be little Asian guy, big on fitness, but I'm liking Jiu-Jitsu Jerry. I don't know.
Jiu-Jitsu Jerry. And that's why I wanted to connect you with the other Southeast Asian Jerry, because that guy's a big Jerry. He's a big, and I think he's Cambodian. He's a big Cambodian Jerry. So I was like, if I'm going to call you Jiu-Jitsu Jerry, I have to check with him because I always saved him as Jerry Jiu-Jitsu. So
okay. Check with him. I'll take East Coast Jerry. I'll take Laotian Jerry.
Yeah, Laotian
maybe
Jerry.
There's only a couple.
Yeah, he can be Cambodian Jerry or something.
Cambodian Jerry, Look at that. We got all the Jerrys around.
All the Jerrys. We got to find a Vietnamese black belt that's a Jerry. Then we got to find a Thai Jiu-Jitsu black belt that's a Jerry. So
I mean, if anyone can do it, we can do it. I mean, you can do it for sure.
I'll find the people, right? Exactly. Exactly. Cool. Well, I will let you know when this talk comes out, and then we will have you on Fight Commentary Breakdown soon too.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.